Welcome everyone. Welcome to Drakenmemoria. So, if you're new to the channel, welcome. It's a pleasure to have you with us. If you're not new to the channel and you actually come back here every week because you like it, welcome back. It's a pleasure also to have you with us. And for those wondering what this is, well, it's Dungeons and Dragons and a group of people playing Dungeons and Dragons. So if this is not your thing, well, we're not changing our schedule, so you'll have to make do or, well, go somewhere else. For everyone else, take a seat. Well, I hope you already have a seat, because otherwise there's a bit of a problem, because we're just about to start.
I mean, there's standing desks.
Yeah, I know.
I have a standing desk. I don't use it a whole lot, but I have it.
Yeah, well, usually it's like that. And speaking of people returning, we actually had our first fan message this morning, actually. Someone actually enjoys the show enough to tell us. That's very kind of you. Thank you very much. And if you're listening right now, you asked me a question, so look at your email during the weekend. We'll most likely have an answer for it by then. And this also sparked one question with some people that I shared your email, the existence of your email. Why haven't we shown any fan art so far? Well, that's for a very simple reason. We haven't received any so far. So for any of you out there, if you're good at drawings, if you are inspired by some scenes that happen during the show, don't be afraid. Send it to us. Just use the email of Drakenmemoria. For now, just going to have to be enough. And if we get enough, we might actually even make a small slideshow of it. Maybe before the show starts or during the break. Just show everyone there, and of course, don't forget to sign your art piece. That way, everyone will know who made it, and who knows, maybe someone will also contact you because they like your art and would like you to make something for their Dungeons and Dragons game or any other game. Yeah, I think that's everything that's new since last time. So let's get this started. I just remembered. I saw in the chat a few greetings that were in French. So for those who are there that speak French, or at least can understand it, salut tout le monde. Eh oui, j'ai pas souvent parlé en français, mais c'est vraiment ma langue natale. Donc, salut et j'espère que vous allez avoir une belle émission. All right.
Now probably 4 of 6 people in this group now haven't understood anything.
Well, actually 3, because there's one of you who actually understood everything I just said. All right.
It was me.
It was me, no.
But it was I,
In chat,
Hugo.
in chat, guess who the other 2 people are of the 6 people.
Who are the 2 that actually speaks French?
I'll go get my Fête Nationale cowboy hat.
Anyone who can recognize accent will know who is the other player now. Damn.
I bleed red, white, and blue. Wait, no, that's not a distinction. Damn it.
All right, so let's get this started. Oh, goodness. It's very hot here, so if you ever see me getting under the influence of the fog spell through my glasses, well, you know why. So, last episode, the party, after having captured a dark elf, or the Shari elves, as they are called in the Shattered Continent, they decided to interrogate the elf. A bit to the dismay of Remy, who actually made quite a bit of effort to stealthily get inside the office of this elf, steal documents, snoop around, get out, all unnoticed, and then try to leave the mine unnoticed, and succeeding, but realizing that, well, he could have done this without being stealthily, only if he had waited 20 minutes. But this is a bit of a staple of this group, that the diversion becomes the plan. It happened twice before. So, having captured a Deshare elf and deciding that they needed to find a way to interrogate it, they turned to the dwarves, who used their imagination and, let's just say, figured out a very dwarven way of getting information. They didn't actually manage to get a lot of good information, but they managed to get enough fragments of information to still their resolve to go back into the mine and figure out what was behind these attacks. What was that strange mineral that they believe they had found, and why was there a Deshare elf in the mine? They shared with the dwarf what Remy had found, a map of the area and a bit of the information. Whatever information Remy was able to convey, they shared it. The rest stayed inside Remy's head. It's one of the perks of playing a bird who can't really talk. So they got reinforcement from the dwarves. They left into the mine shaft, which actually was a new hallway that the dwarves were making a few levels down. And they started their investigation of the entire shaft, and especially where information had been written on the map that Remy found. They found themselves in a strange place, a little mini cavern inside, opened through a crack in the wall, and they actually found a lot of this strange mineral that they had heard of. They tried to figure out what it might be, but didn't get anywhere. Audience kneeled and made a prayer as the party slowly started to believe that this might be the remain of a dragon at one point. And then they left. They kept on exploring this labyrinth of small passages, found a place where captured dwarf most probably lived. They figured out which of the exits from this tunnel had been the most used, and this is where they found the dwarves. Anvara, Audience, Valtari, and Orunak all pooled their resource together and started to heal and tend to the poor dwarves who had been left there for a few weeks. Some of them longer than that, which was a bit strange. But most of them were simply extremely tired. Some of them were in very bad shape. They all were healed sufficiently enough, and the party escorted all the dwarves back to the corridors outside, out of this maze of small tunnel, most likely dug by an Umber Hulk. And the dwarves were reunited with their brethren, their kins, inside the corridor. They figured out that there were more prisoners than dwarves missing, so they all went on a bit of alert status and went back to see what that was about. Leaving the party, mostly alone in this long hallway with a few dwarven patrols still wanting to see what all this was about. Maybe try and find the Deshare elves who were nowhere to be found. There were supposed to be a few of them, but none were encountered. Leaving the party to their own business, with most likely a few questions. Where are the elves? What is this strange metal? Can we take some? And what next? Not forgetting that you actually have the carcass of a Humberhulk waiting for you in an inn not so far from here. And so this is where we pick up the adventure. Anvara, audience, Veltari, Remy, Fisher, what do you want to do?
Checking on my little friend. That's what I would do.
Why did you get a pistol?
Just going a little bit away from the group and checking on her.
She's there. You can feel a bit of an uneasiness. She's not that comfortable in damp, dark surroundings under the ground. She's more of a forest creature than a underdark creature. But other than that, you don't get the feeling that she's distressed or angry about anything for now.
Okay, good.
I would probably turn to the group and be like, well, we've gotten the dwarves back to freedom. Do you wish to conclude our business here, or do you wish to, stay and look out for the elves, or see and try and find where they went?
I say we go back to that camp that we found and take one of the other exits.
Maybe we should go get our horse
Audience,
and
did
the
you
cart.
To bring it down here? I'm not sure it would fit down here.
Audience, did you not say you wanted to extract some of this mineral earlier?
Yes, for the garden. Since we did say we would bring them some. I agree with Fisher. We do know that they said the pathway, the other one we didn't go down, was where the elves went off to, so we could at least scout a little ways down that, see if we could find anything. If everyone is in favor of that.
Dice make many holes in the house.
Right?
If you don't get rid of them. Right? Remy?
So
Like
you
Remy
spray
nods.
spray some raid down one of those tunnels, try and get some elves.
I will also say our party has just used, I think, a lot of, or almost all, at least I have, of our healing resources on healing up the dwarves. So I don't know if we want to perhaps, find a place to quickly rest before we continue if there's a chance of combat. But
Yeah, I burnt all my second level spells.
I'll turn to Fisher. What do you think?
The longer we wait, the farther they get. However, running into a fight when we're not ready could be very bad. What time of day is it? It's
You went back in from mostly when you woke up. You've been going through this maze for a few hours. I'd say you're probably somewhere around noon.
Uh-huh.
I mean, there is a camp nearby, and I know, turning to Fisher, you can go into sentry mode. If we want, we could just take a rest in that camp and then continue after we've had a rest, meaning we wouldn't have to go all the way back. We told the innkeeper 2 days, and it hasn't even been a day yet, so we have a bit of time. No need to rush things.
Fair.
Are you planning on sleeping?
I was just I'll turn to everyone. I don't know how long we need to wait. I think, what is it? I don't want it. That's betting. I just need a rest. I don't know what everyone else needs.
Well, most abilities can be recovered with a short rest, depending on what sort of druid, which I know this is not our druid actually, can recover partial magical abilities, but not her, because she's not a Circle of the Land druid. I don't remember.
I'm special.
I don't remember if Anvara has the option to recover during a short rest.
No, I'm pretty
Okay,
sure.
I'll be able to do that.
Now I know mages, wizard have the ability, sorcerers because of their sorcery point, and some druid, but I actually don't remember if clerics have that ability.
No,
Not a single one.
but not clerics. No, I get my channel divinity back.
Oh well, that would at least be that.
Yeah, I get to turn undead.
Yeah.
Wait, what else?
I don't get my lay on hands back.
You also have your
for a
heal
long
thing.
rest.
Yeah, preserve life.
So to recover a spell, you'd have to take a long rest, 8 hours. It's a bit of a risk, like Fisher said, but then again, if you're standing in the middle of the hub where everyone went out, there's a chance that you might actually be blocking the path to someone trying to escape through the mine. So it's really up to you.
That's why I was thinking. So actually, I'll say here. So I was thinking that if we rest at the camp, even if we take 8 hours, we don't have to necessarily sleep. We can just rest. We have sentry. It would both block their exit, and we know that they're at least I think we learned there were 12 potential, or 8 at least minimum dark elves. I don't think we want to, as much as I am for combat and everything, I don't think we want to risk going into a fight like that low on resources.
Probably the smart play.
Yeah, a fight like that is best taken with favorable odds.
So most likely only Anvara and Valtari would actually need to sleep to recover all of their spells, but everyone else could just take a very long break.
Yeah.
Okay. I can't trance to get my spells.
Sleep, trance,
Okay, I was about to
sentry
say,
rest.
That seems problematic.
No, don't worry. I was just using a generic term.
All right, good.
All right. Let us head then to the. Does everyone in agreement? We should head to the camp. We can rest there, and then we'll go down that passage where they said the elves were gonna go, or we last saw the elves. We think they went.
Uh-huh.
Just cut them off.
And actually,
Time to smoke out a cockroach.
as perception. As Remy says that, Anvara and Remy, actually, you both noticed that Oronak is starting to have red and gold leaves on him.
Oh,
Shit.
time for a rest there, old boy.
Oh, yeah, well, I've used a lot of energy to heal those dwarves. I'm a bit tired, but I can keep on going. I just can't heal anymore.
We should probably let the tree take a bit of a rest, or while we take our.
Maybe just kind of points at the leaves. You're such a pretty bird, pretty bird.
Yeah. Well, if you want one, you can take one. I don't know if it lasts long in here.
It takes one of the leaves and starts admiring it.
All right. You just take one leaf, pluck it, and you hear him. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, well, we just unsummon them and resummon them
Yeah.
during the last turn of watch while resting.
Unfortunately, I don't believe
Oh, right.
we're going to be
rocks.
able to find somewhere down here that we can.
Right.
Well, there are options, but the trick is to get him back. But, yeah.
We're not using the hole. I know exactly where your
I
mind
was. I was
Technically, it would work, but
maybe it's a
Fertilizer.
fertilizer. Comes back stronger.
Bonus poison damage when he comes out.
In that case, yeah, I think we'll summon you again in a bit. We might be out of the mine by then.
Oh, well, I won't argue with that. You know, it's, I'm a tree. I kind of like it better when there's a sun.
Figured as much.
Maybe
Thanks
points
for
to
your
the
help,
sun
Walter.
and nods in agreement.
Yeah, I know. Sun is always better. Although I like the rain.
All right. Thank you for your help earlier, old guy.
Oh, thank you, young one.
Oh,
Sure.
thinking about it, I think Rainy might be the youngest in this group.
I'm 15.
Well, Fisher
Maybe
is
he's
probably
13.
the one that's hardest to judge because physically he's very old, but he's only been aware for a few years. So he's as much the oldest of the group as the youngest of the group.
I'm like an old person with Alzheimer's, but in a young body.
So you're just an old,
My
a
body
young
isn't
guy
young,
with
but like-
Alzheimer's.
But not, physically old.
Alright, so if you give Ornak his break, he will just spend a moment, straighten up, and then you slowly start to see the leaf turn yellow, gold, rust, then gray, and then fall to the ground. You see the little acorn start to grow, and the last thing he does is take the acorn and hand it to audience, who is the one who summoned it.
Audience will put it back into his bag.
And he turns into dead wood.
How much did?
The equivalent of a 5-foot oak.
All right. Can I grab like a bundle of twigs?
You can try, of course.
Making a campfire out of his dead wood.
I mean, I'm being
You ain't using
eco-efficient.
it.
Yeah, that's it. He's done with it. Why can't I take it?
He's
Yeah.
gone.
He's gonna
That's
grow a
fair.
new body the next time anyway.
Yeah,
Fair.
just add bundle of sticks to my stuff.
I wonder how she justifies grave robbing. It's like they're not using it anymore.
Is it grave robbing though? He's still alive.
Yeah.
Like, would you consider robbing Strahd grave robbing since he's dead?
This is the weirdest conversation.
Oh, don't
It's like
worry,
you
you're
have
gonna
a
have
snake.
much worse conversation in your career.
He's a
as
life
dungeon-
cleric. Doesn't care about people after they're dead.
Yeah, that's the grave clerics. I don't give a shit.
Like Like,
Keep
look,
them
I
alive as long as
honor your
possible.
life while you're alive.
Yeah.
So
Alright.
you can, yeah, sure, you can mark in your inventory a bunch of twigs. I don't remember, is oak a hard or soft tree? I think it's hardwood.
Very hard.
All right,
Hard.
so you have a whole bunch of hardwood twigs, which aren't the best to start fire with, but very good to maintain it.
Yeah. All right.
And so you leave only the trunk of Orunak still with his hand reaching out in the position he was when audience took the acorn. But
That'd be like makeshift trident.
you basically shaved his head off once he was dead.
Nothing I do has the intended consequences. Let me just cremate this bard. He just spends 3 hours burning a corpse in a field.
Right, think about it. We could have just unsummoned Onak and then used his dead body to cremate the other dead bodies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, can we plant Oglenak in Oglenak's remains? Like one
Who's
of those.
Oglenak?
Oh, wait, I don't know. Can we?
It's our other tree companion.
That's
Yeah.
that was born in the bit of shit that we found.
Yeah.
Listen, this tree hasn't done anything for me in combat. Audience doesn't care enough to remember his name. All right.
Fuck, I guess.
All right, here is the name. I just sent to our chat the name written properly, I believe.
All caps. Remember it.
I even put it in my notes. I don't know why I said whatever.
Oglenak.
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
I was too busy ogling. at something
did
else.
you watch Labyrinth not so long ago? Because it felt like a bit of Oogle and Knack, you know. I believe the creature that follows Sarah Everwell is called Oogle.
Well, if we're all gonna... If only you two need to rest, do we want to do a little short scout down the tunnel?
That would be up to.
Raimi?
Just kind of like looking at everyone, looking at him.
If you don't want to, you don't. I'm not gonna make you. But
So basically, the question is: do you want to go exploring dark, unlit tunnels by yourself for a little while?
I'm gonna roll a bravery die.
I'd say this is a wisdom for a willpower.
Yeah, with a flat wisdom, that's an 8 total.
Let's say that you're not to the point of everyone suggesting this, looking at you, and then peeing on the ground. But I think it's... Remy probably sees that picture in his head as he's seen creatures being afraid and peeing, and this is how you talk. So you're not doing it, but you're seeing it in your mind.
So yeah, we're sending our rogue to explore the tunnels. Sounds good.
It's like you'll hear an elf. Oh, what's the matter, Noir? Afraid of the dark?
I'm gonna take that as a no. I guess.
He just needs company.
Mm-hmm. Well then, y'all go to sleep.
All right.
All right.
Or what passes for sleep?
All right. So you easily... Well, actually, I'm gonna let anyone make a survival check with advantage because you already know the way there. But it's still a small labyrinth.
Who wants to do it?
Anyone. You already have advantage because you know your way.
I rolled a 14.
All right. It takes a bit of time, but eventually you manage to get back to where you were. I'm gonna switch to the map of where this took place, so you actually have an idea of where you are. I don't know if everyone still has the map from the last time.
I think you put in chat, so we should all have it.
The cave with the poop hole.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so you know the one. It's like who took us to this shithole? I mean, am I right?
The real shit show we're in now.
Yeah.
All right, enough.
Come on, chat. Give us a few more options of shitty wordplay.
I'm so glad I didn't climb down that hole like I initially wanted to.
Yeah, I'm really glad that this party isn't going to take any of those Shari elves shit.
All right. And so, as you all make your way back there, you exchange a few witty wordplay. And probably Remy is the one that shares the most because he's been with bounty hunters for most of his life, and they probably have the most interesting dialogue when it comes to dealing with competition.
Like, oh man, we really gave him some shit for that one.
Yeah, most likely things like that.
Should use that one more often.
All right. So, with a 14, you make your way back to where the where you entered. Originally, you entered at D12. You went through J1. Yeah, that's it. J1 to oh goodness, no, G1. Sorry. As some of you might actually know, well, one of you know for sure, but for everyone else, in French, J and J pronunciation are reversed. So, if you hear me make mistakes about this, it's because of that. So, it's G1 that took you to the dwarf, meaning that A6 and L4 are two corridors that you haven't explored. However, because it was a 14 and not a 15, as I placed the complete success of this, you actually get back to this place through A6. Not really sure how you managed that.
Talent.
Yeah.
I mean, 2 for 1.
You're pretty sure you followed the same path, but you're not coming out of the same tunnel.
I'll turn back to the party. I wanted to take us on the scenic route.
Ah, yes. Good.
Rocks.
Remy just continues staring at audience like he usually does.
He can do no wrong.
Audience is the scenic route.
Thank you for picking up that implication.
You're welcome.
As long as I'm walking,
I'm getting better.
As long as I'm walking in front, which I usually am.
So this means the marching order is usually audience, Remy, and everyone else.
Audience, Remy, and miscellaneous.
Miscellaneous. They don't have to deserve the dignity of being named.
Mhm.
Not for marching order. All right, so you're back into that little cave. What do? You've search a lot of it. I think one of you actually had a pretty good perception roll when they looked there, so there might still be a few maybe hidden things, but you're pretty sure that you found most of what had or could be found in this small room.
Well, if everybody else is going to be sleeping, or if we're going to be chilling here for 8 hours, I will top to bottom go through this place.
All right.
Because
So if
there's
you're
nothing else to do.
if you're if you're going at this like a dog trying to find something, it's going to be investigation. If you're just walking around looking at things, perception.
Investigation.
All right.
Spends 10 minutes picking through the shit. Oh,
Well, this shit
Hey,
is
dude,
for
I'm
the-
immune to disease. I could
May
chill
as
down
well.
there for...
Yes, but you could spread it.
fuck. Fucking
wear a mask when you
12.
come up.
I guess I will start resting while he does this.
Wear a mask and remember to keep always 2 square away from everyone.
Squares are now 6 feet by 6 feet instead of 5 by 5.
It's still 5 by 5.
Alright, that's gonna fuck with my spells. Hey.
I got a 12.
Oh, okay.
Rolled a 7.
All right. Well, it's a nice bonus. It's just not a good roll. So, all right. So you take a good, let's say it's. All right. Roughly to look around a place that big, it's going to take you maybe 2 or 3 hours because there's a lot of place to look. You don't actually find a lot. You do find a few coins inside the watering hole. Apparently,
Hey.
some dwarf most likely tried to see if this could work as a wishing well. You actually find one gold.
Yeah, how far down does it go?
The watering hole, not a lot. It's maybe 4 or 5 feet deep.
Oh, okay.
It's really just a small basin which slowly filled itself up. When you look at it inside, you see where the water comes in, and you also see a small crack in the wall where the water mostly comes out. It's just a coincidence that, or maybe not, maybe it was dug, but a long time ago. But eventually it filled itself and just left. So you find 1 gold and 5 silver in there. And a boot.
Cool.
Because there was also a dwarven boot that nobody took.
Every body of water has to have at least one abandoned boot in it for you to fish up.
Mm-hmm.
Even a 5-foot lake.
Hey, you could still drown Raimi in it.
Yeah, just. So inside that you find this. Inside the barrels you find a few provisions. The barrels on the wall, which is E7 and E8. It's mostly provision, so you do find a bit of salted meat, jerkies. 1 barrel still seems to be full of ale. That's about it. So if you want to take anything, so you could probably fill a cantina or water skin with dwarven ale, and you could most likely take a few rations of jerky or salted meat if you want to.
Well, I don't really need any of that. I don't have a water skin, so I think...
Take the boot!
I have my good berries, I'm fine.
Who's awake?
Well, who doesn't need to sleep would be Remy, you, and Audience, because Audience can recover using his using a short rest, I think.
Can I?
Or do you?
No,
Spell
it's
slots?
Oh,
it's
no.
long rest for spell slots.
Yeah,
I
but
would say
That's a big-
or laying on hands.
Well, I was
Did you
lay on
use any
hands.
spell
Yeah.
slots?
that's
No. I see that.
doesn't need spell slots, but I think that if he wants to recover his
No,
lay
I'm
on
sleeping.
hand points, it's
I'm sleeping.
Lay on hands, I think it's long rest.
Lay
Yeah.
on hands is a long rest. I am a sleepy boy.
Okay.
Yeah, Raimi would have been awake.
I'm
Mhm.
lightly napping. I have my eyes closed.
yeah, that's right. Divine sense also need long rest, but you're not
Yes.
completely out of divine divine sense.
I
So
should have
Well-
actually used it before going to bed. Didn't. That's fine though.
Well, in that case, if it's just me and Raimi, I'm gonna go chill over by the exit at L4,
okay.
just because that's where we think things will come from if they do come. and-
I was gonna say with a 12, you find one piece of this strange metal that was most likely left inadvertently through all the crates that there
Oh,
are
sweet.
between K7 and J9. You find one piece of this metal. It's still raw, so you're pretty sure that it's not full of this. It's most likely a few veins of it, but it's a piece roughly the size of a fist. And you do see some of that small vein of slightly shimmering material in it.
I'll walk over to wherever Raimi is, kind of hand it to him.
Oh, his eyes glitter up.
And then, well, wait a little bit, and then go. Seeing as we've got some time, when we were journeying, you said you were a slave for a bit.
Raimi kind of like stares at the ground, kind of like gives a small nod.
How long?
Trying to think how many talents does a Kenku have?
Talons. I think it's going to be 6. I think it's the same as a normal bird. 6. Hold on.
No, they have 3 and a thumb on the back.
Yeah, normal
Three on the
bird
front
had
and one in the back.
2 in front. Oh, okay, 2 in. It's
No, they have 3 in
front.
front, 1 in back.
All right.
No, I have Kenku feet in my Google search.
So Raimi is going to hold up one hand entirely and then like expose only 3 of the talons on his other hand.
So 7.
And then kind of like moves his arms like, as though something big.
7 months?
Shakes his head.
7 years?
Oh.
Oh. Did you try and... Why didn't you leave?
Raimi minor illusions the image of what appears to be a large egg.
Oh, is that um? Do you have a kid?
He points to himself.
Oh, you were the egg?
Nods.
So you were born into it.
Nods again.
Okay. Guess that makes sense. How did you end up leaving?
Noir, what are you doing? And he minor illusions what appears to be a scroll.
Is it a specific scroll that I would be able to recognize, or is it just like spell scroll, or just scroll?
Is it the kind of scroll that you were doing all day long, or are you showing him the actual end result of when you tried to get out?
It's,
If you want,
he's showing, I guess, trying to show the specific scroll that was part of his escape.
All right.
Ooh, massive lag.
So,
would I be able to recognize it?
You recognize this as being a scroll, a very good scroll, but there's a few things missing. You're not sure if it's because you didn't see all the details of the scroll, or if it's actually a scroll which is meant to have a few elements missing in it.
And then he produces the image of the Shari elf that he showed before that you hadn't seen before.
Was that? I'm assuming that was your captor.
He nods.
So, does that make you want to hunt down these Dashari more?
It's, he kind of like minor illusions one of the dwarves that they had rescued and says in a classic voice, "No one deserves that. No one."
Yeah. Couldn't agree with you more on that. It's not the best time being forced to do something that you don't want to do. I've got my own experience with that, as I'm sure you're slightly aware of us, my kind, what generally happens when we wake up.
So Remy,
Nobody's very happy.
Remy, you'd know, especially because because of your background. Construct are not. It's not normal for a construct to become aware. It's not something that is done intentionally. So even more in criminal organization, when one usually becomes self-aware, it is really not well seen because it becomes a very unpredictable variable. You don't know if they will appreciate what is going on. You don't know if they will accept, refuse, want to leave. This could happen at any moment. So there's always a bit of a nervous moment, especially when a criminal organization buys one, because as long as they're not self-aware, they're really generally seen as pieces of equipment. Sometimes extremely well designed, beautifully made, because some people have actually elevated the art of making of construct to the level of an art, in their form, in their elegance, and the thing when they awake is that some awake really fast, and that's usually what criminal organizations prefer, because they know right away what's going to happen. But some of them take a really long time to awaken, and this is not something that criminal organization likes, because they will usually interfere, make problems, because they don't appreciate being forced while they're being awakened, while they are slowly awakening. So for criminal organization, this is bad. They really don't like it. But for someone like you who appreciates being free, there's probably an element of this that you can sympathize with heavily.
Remy kind of like walks up to him, puts his town hands on one of your shoulders, patting it, says, "Ah, so you've awakened, Remy."
Yeah. I can't help but. So how long does it take your kind to mature?
Thinks on that for a moment.
Looks at notes.
Hold on, maybe I have.
I think they have a shorter lifespan than humans, but
I think
if I remember correctly, I think they actually mature at 12.
Uh-huh.
So he could be maybe younger than audience.
about 12. Yep, they live up to 60.
He just kind of points to himself again and starts like counting up the talons.
Uh-huh. To 12?
Yeah, 12.
Okay.
And then he points to himself again and adds one more finger.
Yes. I think there's seeing a surprising correlation in our experience. I guess you could say I grew up in captivity. And then, I guess once I was fully grown, able to actually control my own actions, I was able to escape. Not that I was trying to, but more fight my way out than run. But yeah, that was only a couple of years ago, so I guess I can see a little similarity there. It's good to know somebody else knows what it feels like, I guess.
Remy gets a bit closer to you and then, doing his best with his shorter arms, gives you a hug.
Fisher will look down a little confused and do like the one arm like pat on the back, kind of stiffly.
And then he'll say in a voice you haven't really heard before, we all walk many paths, but the one that is best suited for you is the one that you choose.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Not a lot of people think that my kind really feel anything. So,
In a very familiar voice, fuck 'em!
Yeah. Unfortunately, can't really get anywhere fucking over everybody you meet. Sometimes you just gotta deal with it.
Remy thinking back to all of his experiences fucking people over in a band of like,
And then
I've done pretty successful.
and it dawns on you. It dawns on you that, oh, the time where it failed, I probably shouldn't have done that.
Yeah. Sometimes there is a difference between ignorance and straight up being a dick. And sometimes if you fuck over people who are ignorant, that can hurt you more in the long run.
You can never have too many friends in a world of enemies.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, looks like we're starting to make a few.
Rainbow.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
And that feels like a nice moment to keep on going with the adventure. So,
I'll ruffle his head feathers a little bit.
yeah. Rainbows and a head ruffle. All right, so Anvara and Valtteri, you're both sleeping. I'd say Valtteri, you're the only one who hasn't had that dream. So while it takes a little bit of time for you to actually nod off because you're in a closed space under the earth in something that really looks like, well, the thing you wouldn't agree existing in the room that it is right now, because as I said, as a general thing, druids don't like mines because of how scarring it is to the land. But then again, dwarves make it their home. So you really can't blame someone for building its home. But this cave you're in right now really embodies this element of scarring the land. It's just been dug out as a temporary thing where you just shove in slaves for them to work for you. So it takes you a bit of time to ease up and fall asleep. At least you don't realize right away that you are sleeping, because you start nodding off and then you just open your eyes again and you're alone in front of a campfire. And you look around and you start hearing the wind blowing. Very gentle breeze. But as you take more time to take in that wind, which feels a bit nice since you've been stuffed underground for half a day, and slowly the wind starts to change into sort of a gentle whisper. And for a moment, feels like the whisper comes from near you. And you hear the whisper takes shape, and you hear, show me more. And then as you hear that echo around you, you slowly fall asleep again in this, and when you wake up, you're still inside the mine. You see Remy and Fisher close to one another. You wake up just in time to see Fisher ruffle Remy's feather. And you see audience half asleep, just waiting a bit, and you see Anvara in her trance. That's the dream that you have.
Do I recognize the voice?
It is both as alien and familiar as you can possibly conceive it to be. You have never heard this voice before, yet it feels like it's almost as if it was your best friend who spoke to you. It was gentle. There was nothing bad, nothing felt bad about this. Just like the breeze that you felt, it was even refreshing and eased your mind a bit.
And the voice was close to me. I'll look around my stuff pockets and backpack. If I kind of sense something that felt like it.
Make a perception roll.
Perception?
Yep.
Why do I always get the natural 20s when I'm not in combat? Natural 24. There you go.
Alright, well, for a total of 24. You go into your backpack and you look around, ruffle things, you look at things, and for a fraction of a moment, really the length of a thought, when you touch your book, the one that you got from the vault inside the garden, you can swear you can smell this faint odor of outside breeze that you just felt in your dream, but it lasts barely for a thought.
I'll carefully take it out. And I just kind of had the feeling to quickly go through the pages because it should be empty, but I kind of have the feeling that something appeared, which would be odd.
Well, actually, you weren't able to open it the first time, and it is still locked.
Okay.
No matter how you try and twist this strange leathery lock that is holding the book shut, it just won't open.
I guess
Because of the 20 roll that you just made, I'd say for a brief moment, your mind takes you back to the words that you heard in that dream. Show me more.
I love this. First I got sentimental because of Remy, and now this is happening. I would lay my hand on the cover of it, close my eyes, and just in my head see, like, not really go through my whole life, but like the beginning of it, before we went on the journey, while I was at my tribe, growing up with my family, learning, meeting Orina,
Okay.
slowly having my friendship with her, and like more of the good parts, and also the good parts then of the journey, not the hardship and stuff.
All right. I'd say, first of all, where are you in relation to the rest of the group? Did you all place yourself around one of the small... I know in the picture they're working fires, but they're no longer working. Did you all place yourself near one, or did you all group up together, or are you all spread out throughout this room?
I just know that Raimi would have tried to distance himself from the poop hole.
I'm pretty sure most have.
Yeah.
So like from E1 to A5, basically.
I would probably down in the B area.
I figured Ramey and Fisher were around the one at I4 because that's close to the door that I was watching.
So Raimi and Fisher would be in the upper left quadrant, and Audience, Anvara, and Valtari in the lower left quadrant. Something like that?
I'd be in the lower left quadrant.
All right. Well, in that case, I'd say Anvara would be the only one with high enough passive perception, and since you are in trance, you are aware of what happens around you. So you do notice Valtari doing this, getting out the book and looking at it with a puzzled look, trying to open it, and then sitting down, putting her hand on it, and seemingly becoming very concentrated on it.
Okay. Can I still entrance? Just like, can I speak while I'm entranced to people around?
Well, trance. Well, the trance works in a way that's very similar to sleep, meaning you don't have to spend all of it, all 8 hours. You don't have to spend all 8 hours of it sleeping. I think it's only 4 hours for elves, which you have to really spend just gazing in emptiness. But the other 4 hours, you can be very aware of what is happening, and you can also talk.
Okay. Has it been 4 hours?
I'd say yes.
All right. I'm just going to be there sitting on the bed, legs crossed, hands on knees, just ask, something troubling you? Oh God, I forgot your name. About that.
and she says that. Like all of that out loud.
So I guess I would just like, what? Because I was like in focus, I wouldn't really notice what is going around me, and I'm just like startled. I'm like, did you say something?
You seem preoccupied about something. Is something the matter?
Well, I kind of had like a dream, but it was similar back then before we got to the garden with the dreams. And I kind of have the feeling it has to do with the relic I got back then in the garden from the vault. So
It speaks to you while you sleep as well. You're not the only one.
Have you already kind of figured out with your item?
Not yet, but it'll come to me, I'm sure. It raises weird questions while I sleep. my kind isn't really accustomed to such things, and it's a bit of a deterrent at the moment, but I still am motivated to try.
Yeah. It's. I don't know, it's just an odd feeling. But I don't know really how to describe it. It's.
Well, if you realize it's anything I can help you with, let me know.
Thank you very much, and same with yours.
I'm still wearing. I don't know if I said that was.
Well, you haven't said that while she was there, so she doesn't know that it's actually your object.
I'll just like raise a hand and just like do this, pointing towards my shoulder cloak.
So,
This is the relic I got from the vaults. Doesn't really. I didn't figure it would be that spoke to me while I slept. You really think the relics are the causes of the voices?
well, I don't think it's specifically all the voices we had in our dreams, but. It's weird because it always felt like it's a friend I've known for a really long time, but on the other hand, it's a complete stranger. If you know what I mean.
Not at all, but yes. Nothing is clear. Elves sleeping. Nothing's clear.
I just can't put my hand on it. I don't know. Well, only time will show us, I guess.
Indeed.
Do you know how long we've been resting now?
You're probably reaching near the 5th or maybe 5th hour. All you need is a quick nap to finish enough of the long rest to actually regain all of your spells. For both of you, I mean, they do say that trance remains the same thing as a long rest. You do need the 8 hours to regain your spell slot. It's just that contrary to people who actually sleep, you remain aware through all of it, and you only need 4 hours of complete rest, while everyone else needs 6 hours. So,
yeah.
Well, I'll try to get a few more hours of sleep. Maybe I get another dream that explains more, or maybe I can figure something out.
If you do, feel free to.
No, go. I put my item back in my pocket and goes to sleep.
all right. So you go back to sleep, and nothing else comes to you while you sleep. Anvara, Valtari, Rami, and Fisher, you all finish your rest easily. Audience, I don't know why, but I keep picturing Audience in this sort of a situation where everyone else talks, but he is half asleep, and from time to time you see him just twitch a leg and
I dread to think what he's.
Even when he's asleep, suffering from restless leg syndrome.
Me in real life.
all right, so I'm attuned to Sam and not Audience. All right. So after the 8 hours have elapsed, you all wake up, come back from your groggy break. Fisher and Remy, you haven't seen anything else other than your friends move in the room. Remy, you probably heard not the words, but you probably realized that there was a conversation throughout this rest with Anvara and Valtari. And for you, for you and Fisher, since you have both been awake this all along, you know that it's probably dark outside right now, because they all took an 8-hour rest. So this means it's probably 8 or 9 o'clock right now outside.
It's a simple math.
So, but you haven't seen any movement other than your friends in this room since everyone went to rest. So nothing else made its way, as best as you can tell. Actually, if you want to make a perception roll while all this was going on, I don't mind.
Let's see how perceptive of other things Remy was. That's a pretty good one. That'll be 26.
Wow. Well, actually, you notice that there was a bit of life in the form of a few bats. And you saw a few insects, small ones, not big ones. But you didn't notice.
Thank God, because the Emerald. It's like, oh no!
Damn. But you didn't notice anyone humanoid going through this cavern. And you did see a long, creepy crawly coming out from the shithole.
He tried his best to ignore that.
Rolls up the side of audience's chin.
Just rubs there for a while and then leaves. No, actually, the hole was a bit far away, so. All right, so you are all awake. What do you do exactly? Or actually, if you want to take a few moments to think about it, we usually go to our break in 5 minutes, but we could take the break a little early, and then you could take a few minutes to think about how you want to start this exploration.
Break now seems like a good part before we
Alright.
go on our next
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in that
part
case,
of this.
we will be going to break for about 10 minutes. So, everyone, see you back in 10 minutes. Take a pee break, a number 2 break, or a liquid break if you want to fill up. So, see you all back in 10 minutes. Bye. Welcome back, everyone. Alright, as you can see, everyone's there. Yay! No one died during the break. Alright. So, you all wake up. You all look at each other. Slightly puzzled. For some, slightly more understanding of their friends. For others. And what do you do?
Time to stop dilly-dallying and get back to work.
Yeah. You've been twiddling your thumbs since you got there. Come on.
I guess we probably start heading down the tunnel.
Yeah, I light up a torch.
All
You
right.
going?
Yep.
All right. So, you all.
Is there
Yes.
anyone else who has dark vision except for me, or is this really happening?
Oh no, I got it too.
Anvara is an elf, so she has dark vision, and
Oh, yeah.
I think she also had the light cantrip. So,
Yep.
So you see Fisher take a torch and just rub it and light it. And then you see Anvara walk in front of him with a. What weapon do you have right now?
Right now, I've got a long sword.
Long sword. So she just reached toward the audience with her long sword shining.
Yeah,
And
of
I'm
course,
just
that
watching,
burns isn't
like-
good
It's a
for-
harder flex
for
to
light
just
vision.
walk right into the darkness with nothing else.
And I'm just watching, like, my vision hasn't changed at all.
All right.
Well, you can discern colors.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a benefit. You can see color, like the various
You can see color.
shades of brown and black. And
Various shades of rock.
It's gray and then
I-
black. Oh, and there's a bit of gray there. And this is weird. It's sort of between gray and black. Oh, look, there's a mushroom growing. It's sort of a odd gray. So, in what order do you enter this corridor for your explorations? I'd say most likely Fisher first because he lit up a torch and
Yep.
start walking.
I've been waiting to go.
I will follow Fisher.
All right. So we have.
I'll let Remy huddle audience's backside while we watch.
All right.
Thanks up front.
So we have Fisher, we have audience, and then Anvara. Valtteri, where are you in this queue of people?
I guess I'm the last person.
You'd be the last. So, which means Remy, do you want to try and push Anvara out of the way to be right behind audience, or do you accept being behind Anvara? And just
well, I think his major problem, and this kills two Kenku with one stone, but because like he also wants to distance himself from Valtteri, so he's probably going to try to put himself in third place.
All right, so Anvara, it feels like Remy is trying to push to get to be the one behind audience.
All right. He's gonna have to roll a strength check. I'm gonna throw him back.
So do you let him or do you resist him?
Yeah, I'll just let him through.
All right.
You let me pick
I was
him
gonna
up.
say,
and
don't
throw him
underestimate my acrobatics. Like he'll do flips and tricks. It's like
in this tiny ass tunnel.
and he's the smaller one here.
Don't underestimate Remy. All Kenku wish they could fly. Maybe he actually believes it.
I'll make you a glider and just throw you as a team.
It's actually written inside the information of the Kenku. The two things that were taken away from them by the gods as punishment is their creativity and their ability to fly. So they would always feel like they're missing something, and they would forever be denied the skies. So
Somebody invent airplanes, damn it.
Go see the gnomes. Go see the gnomes. Well, actually, maybe not.
So artificers are legal.
So what?
So are artificers legal? If we die, I have to re-roll a sheet.
I'd say it would depend. There is a very opportune moment during this campaign where you could easily find one. So if we happen to be there at that time, I wouldn't even hesitate in saying yes. but outside of that, I'd have to think about it.
Great. In the meantime, Anvara has a cyanide pill between her teeth, just waiting.
This is my chance for reincarnation.
Yeah.
Bites into pill.
Into a character I've actually written stuff for.
So, this means if she dies, I guess you're going to ask to stay in the game and that we use a reincarnation, which is a druidic spell.
Into like a 4'1" gnome, so I'm like super like I'm gonna walk like a newborn deer because I'm not used to being like so close to the floor.
You'll be reborn as a goblin fighter.
Oh shit! A fighter, man, they suck.
Wow.
All right.
Eldritch Knights,
Just 'cause I
barely
rolled
Fuck your
qualify as
shit
fighters.
entire
stats.
class, Dre.
Doesn't mean my class is bad.
Well, I mean,
All right.
at least you're not a ranger.
So much shade right now.
All right. So,
Jealous when I get to hit people 3 times,
I actually am jealous I get so fucking tough.
6 times if I want to.
it depends if you don't take a level in something else, once you reach level 20, you'll be able to hit people 4 times, 8 times with action surge,
Yep.
Or
9
times.
if you're hasted.
Take 3 levels in monk and get some key points with it.
10 times if you decide to do 2-weapon fighting.
That's what I was going to say.
Jesus Christ.
Getting those double-digit attacks.
All right.
Well, I ain't gonna be going straight fighter.
Hang on, let me just roll
That's
damage.
for later though.
All right.
All
So,
right.
Fisher, I'd say because you're in first, do a perception roll. Because
Let's
audience is behind you, he could try and help you.
I will try and help him.
Then I'll let you roll with advantage.
Thank God.
I loom over you.
I've
You
been
feel a
rolling
presence.
so bad lately.
No.
Fucking nope.
So
The
you
9. I rolled an 8 and a 2.
so you walk confidently in this corridor, and then suddenly you hear. I was gonna say Anva, but she's completely at the other end. So you don't hear anything, and you feel your head connect with a stalactite. So
Such a
Make
difference.
sort of a clang sound.
Boom. Meant to do that. It feels like it just hit an empty helmet.
There goes
Fucking-
any stealth presence we had.
It's fucking too tall for this shit.
Are we like 2 of us wearing chainmail? There is no
Yeah,
stealth here.
we had no stealth presence. Let's-
So basically, there is Anvara who, when she walks, you hear cling, cling, cling. There's audience when he walks, you hear cling, 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 because of all the coin that he has in his backpack.
Yeah.
And then you hear the loud dong sound when he hits his head.
And then you hear Fisher at one point. Boom. Watch out! There's rock ahead.
Randy just walks under it.
It just goes over your head.
No, Remy has to watch for stalagmites.
Oh yeah, Remy is just behind audience, so he actually does bump it. All right.
He bumps into a rock, all right.
God.
Actually, shouldn't we say he walks into steel, buns of steel? All right. Okay. So you um well, that's looking forward. Those walking behind. If you want to pay attention to what is behind you, that would be Valtteri and Anvara. I could let you. I will let one of you roll with advantage if they are assisted by someone, or you could both roll. See who gets the best. As since you are looking at what's going on behind.
What's your
I
survival
was
like?
asked my survival.
That's perception because now.
Oh,
you-
perception?
Yeah.
Oh,
+4.
I got +5 to perception.
Then you go ahead.
All right.
And I give you.
Nat 20. We're going to take it.
Awesome. I already see it coming, like us then really having bad luck in
Don't worry
combat.
about it.
So they
Don't
they
worry.
don't see what's coming toward them, but they do see what is leaving behind them. All right. So, as you're making your way, you in front, Fisher and audience, you really don't see much of anything. You just keep on walking, and it's starting to be a bit of a long walk. There's not a lot of corridors, but you do actually a few times have to decide between going left or right. But well, actually, if you want assistance on that, I would allow you to make a survival check to see if you're trying. I imagine you're trying to track if there were the Shari elves walking in those corridors.
Yeah. I mean, is it... You said it is branching?
Yeah, there's a few moments where this does branch.
Alright.
Oh,
Fucking... Ugh.
all the wrong path in the elemental plane of air for some reason.
Mhm. Am I rolling straight or...
I'll assist if I can.
Yeah, sure.
roll separate?
All right.
Don't make me roll separate. My rules are never good at this. I'm gonna assist. It's on you. I don't want the responsibility.
Fucking don't fuck
And
me.
Fisher,
Sonya.
you have advantage.
It's a 13 minus 1 for 12.
So you have the exact same roll as your perception.
Let's see. What would I have done if I'd rolled? I would have gone a 2. So, minus 1. So I've been a 1, so.
Did get 2 13s, so your help.
Sure could have used a druid in front. Shit.
Hey,
Yes, but if we run into things,
I don't know why you went ahead. I honestly don't know. But
I was fucking tired of waiting for you guys. Got to sleep. Who has to
I mean-
sleep? That's lame.
I mean, it was very
Nice.
successful, but at least the Kenku enjoyed the show, I guess.
every time audience bent down to see what was happening nearby, you could hear Remy do. So, so with a 12, I'd say corridor do branch quite a few times, and at one point you'd think you've been going around in circle for maybe half an hour, but no one seems to have noticed. So you don't say anything and you just take a different branch.
Yep.
From behind, which is Valtteri and Anvara. Oh. What is... you said you rolled a natural 20. What
That was
is...
in that 20.
What
25.
is... Yeah. What... plus 5, so 25?
Yep.
So that means... Oh, boy. It's a natural 20 versus a natural 20. So...
Oh, fuck. So
um...
yeah, about running into trouble. Face first.
Doesn't technically the perception win on that because they're like the attacker and the attacker wins? I don't know if that's true.
Well, no,
It's
it's
skill check,
it's
so
both
total.
natural 20s, but
Oh, busted up.
plus
Still the higher.
5 for Anvara and plus 4 for what is there.
Let's go.
Miscellaneous
Alright.
something.
Question. Because I assist, would I also notice it at the same time with her?
I'd say it would depend on Anvara's reaction. If you actually say something the moment that you noticed this, I'd say Valtteri would notice it also immediately after, just a moment before, after you.
All right.
So you're looking behind. Actually, you're a bit taller than Valtteri, I think. So you're looking behind a few times, just make sure that no one's following. And just as one of those times you look behind, just after having passed one of those splitting branch, you see something move in the shadows. It has a humanoid form, roughly the same size as Valtteri, but you don't see it running toward you. You just see it look at your group and then start running back to where you were.
Okay. So, like, is it running back like him? Like, if I were
It's
to
running
like,
away.
like, would it be like straight running away from me? Like, it's going straight away.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna. I imagine there's like a loose-ish rock along the wall, like a rock I could just like
Yeah.
break up.
It's mostly the tunnels dug out by the Umber Hulk, so it's not a very smooth surface as the dwarf would make.
Okay, I'm gonna break off a piece of rock, cast light on it, and fucking chuck it as far as I can towards the thing that ran away.
All right.
Want me to roll for the throw?
Yeah.
All right.
I'd say go for dexterity.
All right. Plus Dex, that's gonna be a
9 or 19?
19.
19. All right, because if you'd said a 9, I would have said, I rolled a 10. But you said 19, so
Yeah.
So you actually managed to throw the rock just far enough that because it's still a good 6 seconds, you take a rock, cast on it, and throw. So the person had time to move away a bit. But throwing a rock is 60 feet away, which means it is at the limit of what that person would be able to do if they had taken a dash action. So you see the rock fall on the ground and roll a bit, just enough, and because you just did that, Valtteri also see what is happening because she just has 1 point of perception behind you. So you see the backside of a Deshare elf just leaving the light that you sent.
Okay. I halt the group right the fuck now. I call it out. I just saw one. It ran back towards the camp. Like out loud, everyone heard that. There's one. Like there's one over there. In like you just saw. Please, someone.
You're in the back. Fucking go.
Oh, all
Yeah.
right.
Can't
You know
move
what? You know
if
what?
you're
Alright.
blocking us.
You know what Raimi is going to bonus action dash, pick up the rock, and start trying to chase them down.
All right. I'm gonna run after Raimi with the shiny rock.
All right.
You make sure to pick
I
up
run
the shiny on the way
behind.
You'll hear the thunder and the clang of audience and Fisher starting up there.
Yeah.
Heavy duty tank runs down the corner.
All right. So,
Like I just like cast light as I go in case I'm too fast for the others, so they can follow the dashes of light through the tunnel.
I mean, I still have a torch going.
yeah.
Oh, true.
I was about to say, like,
I
and
have-
please don't cast light again because that will make the light that Raimi has go out.
True. One push
Oh
up
yes,
for everyone.
I have
who
the light.
remembers that.
Fuck! It disappeared. So the order
So, yeah.
changes to Valtteri in the middle, followed by
Remy.
Anvala and Remy at the
Uh.
front. All right. So, okay. So Remy, you start chasing after that person. Because you're a rogue.
And I can just continue doing bonus action dashes if I need to.
Yeah.
He's not getting away.
Yeah, actually, you can run quite fast if you want to. So, because of how the corridor is made, let's see when is the next opportunity for whomever runs to branch off. All right, so Remy, do you go all out as fast as you can to try and catch up, or are you giving a chance for everyone to follow you?
How slow are their asses? Cause
Well,
I
mainly
got 60 with dash.
if everyone starts running, everyone can dash at 60, while because of your cunning action, you can go as fast as 90.
like, I'm going to say what he's going to do is he's going to, like, as he's running, kind of like make actually how hard are the mine walls? Are they easy to claw into, or are they more like rocky than they are?
No, it's solid rock. The Ember Hulk can burrow in solid rock, so you're in the middle of a mountain.
Okay. So what he's going to do is, like, he is still going to, like, speed up ahead, but he is going to take a moment to, like, grab a handful of ball bearings and start basically leaving, like, a trail to where he is going in case the others get lost.
We're
Not
gonna run to the
not,
dark.
not ball bearings to make them trip. Just see where he's going.
Yeah, because that's the strat. Just leave a bunch of ball bearings in the dark ass tunnel with people dashing.
Dashing through the snow. So you start leaving your trails of ball bearing crumbs behind you, and you dash through these tunnels trying to catch up with whatever is running. So, because you ran, because it has, I'd say, and because of the light, I'd say you can barely make out the shape of whatever is running in front of you. It had a 60 feet advance on you. So when you started running, you could cover 90, and they could cover 60, which means that they have roughly a bit over 30 feet of distance away from you. However, I'd say roll dexterity for me.
Holy
Just,
fuck,
flat
Ramy's
dexterity.
scary.
You can add modifier, but not proficiency.
Imagine seeing this tiny ass Kenku running through the mine at 90 feet every 6 seconds.
That'll be 17.
17.
This Kenku is limber.
All right. You start chasing after this elf, and you realize that you're actually gaining on the elf. Up to the point that you feel you could be in reach of it. What do you do? It's maybe 30 feet away from you. If you take your dash action, you could try and reach it, tackle it, do whatever. Or you could take your action to throw something at it, which means that you would fall into the 60 category. If you miss, they're going to be able to keep away from you. you'd be at even walking speed. But right now, because of what you rolled, you are essentially close enough to try something.
I will. You know what? He will actually try to go for. He has a spare dagger. He's going to throw a dagger at their back.
All right. Then make an attack roll.
That will be that'll be a 19 to hit.
That does hit. Roll for
Hello,
damage.
Mr. D4. It's for 5 piercing damage.
All right. So you throw your dagger and you hit. You hear the sound of the Shari elf. Take a hit, swear a little bit, but decides to keep on running.
Now there's a trail of blood to follow.
There's a trail of
Yep.
blood to follow, but that round, as you keep on chasing behind him, you see that he reaches a point where there is another embranchment. Audience, Anvara, Valtari, and Fisher. You saw Raimi just take off, and he is going faster than you can run. What do you do for this round?
Run.
Keep running as fast
If
as I can.
fucking
after him.
everybody in front of me is not in the way.
I'm gonna dash 60 feet and then misty step 30 feet further than I can see. 30 feet further away, so I can try and catch up a bit faster.
All right. So you run. Because of that, you can actually go as far as Remy. So basically, you can still see Remy running in front of you. He hasn't managed to distance you. Audience, Valtari and Fisher.
I'll just be running 60 feet.
All right.
Yep, but just run.
All right, Valtari.
I'm thinking of something.
Yes, I noticed.
Would it work to transform into my wolf form and then run? Because I know that I could get farther with it. But the problem is
room.
it will take an action, so I can only get 50 feet, and after that I can get 100 feet.
Anvara has never seen this wolf, also.
Yeah.
Well, I'm wondering if these tunnels are even big enough to accommodate.
And
The wolf
that
form.
is why I was about to ask Valtteri, can you
Well,
make an
if-
intelligence roll, please?
Well, if it would accommodate an audience, I thought it would also accommodate an...
Audience isn't a large creature. He is almost a large creature.
I am a large creature, just by the definition of the book. It doesn't.
Audience feels
How
like
about
it.
a 15?
15.
15.
Alright, so in the order that you are, I'd say
Yes.
you have that moment of in your mind, if I change, I can catch up. But then you look at the size of the hallway, and one, there is a doubt that maybe the wolf is too large, and two, if you do that,
Okay.
you, Fisher and audience will definitely be stuck behind you, because if you are thin enough for this. You are too large for them to try and pass you.
Okay, then I just keep dashing.
All right. So you keep on going. All right. We go back to the beginning of this initiative. Remy, you seem to have the initiative in front of the elf. The elf has just reached a point where he could branch off in 2 directions. Well, 3 if you count the one that you're coming from. What do you do?
How far away is that intersection?
60 feet away from where you are.
Okay. So, Ramey's gonna be a dick, and he is. I'm actually gonna double check, but I'm pretty sure it's in range to do this. That particular spell.
Some mage-handed knife he threw at him and twisted.
I mean, that would be interesting, but
Which spell are you looking for?
oh no, don't worry, I found it now. Okay, yeah,
Okay.
it's literally just in range. Yeah, so Ramey is going to cast a silent image blocking one of the entryways
Huh.
to make it look like it's just
Okay.
another rocky wall.
Just gonna Wile E. Coyote him.
Okay.
He hasn't had a chance to use this spell yet.
No, it's all right. Okay. What is your spell DC?
The spell DC is a... So currently it's a 13, but he does have to take an action to investigate it.
Yeah.
Jesus.
So it's basically either stops to investigate like what the fuck just happened, or he dashes in the one direction that seems to be available.
Absolutely.
You're still holding the rock, right?
Yeah, he still
It's the
has
only
it.
way I
He,
can see.
he still has
All
the
right.
free hand.
All right.
All right. So. All right.
Pulls out a bit of fleece and just kind of like waves it in front of him.
You take your fleece, you wave it at the front, you cast the spell, and just before the elf can notice where are the embranchment, you cover one of the exit. As you do this, the elf stop around and he stops, looks around, and looks back
Bird's gaining.
looks back at you. Clap his hand once, and total darkness. You lose sight of him.
That's fun.
But isn't light a source of magical light?
It has to be 3rd level or higher to do to.
Ah,
It has to be daylight.
I do not have third level spells. Eat.
So you do this, and you see the wall forming. He turns around, clap, and then darkness all around. So you do not know what he did after that. And you cannot hear anything. Anvara, you are close enough to Remy and what he's doing to see that he cast a spell because he has a light just beside him. Well, it would be too far for your vision. However, you do recognize the total blackness of the Shari Elf's ability to cast darkness appear roughly 30 feet in front of Remy. And Remy, this means you cast. Did you keep on walking? You still would have had your movement.
It's like, you know what? I think he still would have tried to catch up to him.
All right. So basically, when that happens, you are in this sphere of darkness. So everything turns completely dark around you. This means, Anvara, you just see the light that Remy was running with go dark.
I won't dispel it in case he gets out, but to get through the darkness, I'm gonna just... If I outstretch my arms either way, can I touch either side of the tunnel?
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna keep walking, keeping a track on where the walls are with my fingers to make sure I don't
all right,
deviate and just slam myself into a wall.
So you reach almost where you saw Remy just before he disappeared. Almost. Maybe you think it's within the range of maybe 30 feet of where he was. Behind you, audience, Valtteri and Fisher run up almost where you are. They're 30 feet behind you. And you are close enough to see this shining light running in the corridor and go black. For you, audience, and you, Fisher, you've experienced this less than 24 hours ago, so you sort of know what just happened.
I'll cast Divine Sense.
Make a intelligence roll. I know you love them.
Ooh, 14. That's
14. All right. You know you are almost out. Well, did you take a long or short rest?
I took a long rest.
Long rest.
So
all
I
right.
have 3.
You can judge where they were. So you have a feeling that this is maybe a bit too far. He would have been at the edge of the 60 feet.
Okay.
When the light appeared. Yeah, disappeared.
I wasn't going to immediately do it. I was going to first charge basically into the darkness and then use Divine Sense.
All right.
Oh, you're gonna fucking ram me, my guy.
I'm gonna ram Remy is what's gonna happen.
I'm sure he won't object. Sorry, it was just too easy to do.
Yeah, no, it was a setup. I gave it a setup.
So, but I think that when you finish running, you are still going to be a bit short. You won't be inside the darkness.
Okay.
Because
Well, then I
basically,
guess I'll wait till my next.
in the order that all of this is, there's Remy, who is completely in the dark. Then Anvara, who is just in front of the dark. And then 30 feet behind her is all of you. Basically, your next turn, you can all be in the dark. If you want to.
I will wait till my next turn then to do
all
anything.
right. So, Remy, you are in the dark. Possibly with a Dashari elf, but you do not know. What do you do?
He suspects that the darkness is there to serve as a smoke screen to hide their escape. So he is going to try to push his way through the darkness itself, since I think he knows at least enough about the darkness spell to know that this one can't possibly move.
All right.
Or at least it can't be centered on Raimi, so he just needs to basically dash through.
All right. Well, in that case, because you cast the spell, because you've seen what is ahead, you do know that the corridor will branch to either your left or your right in a sort of Y shape. Through which corridor do you want to push through? The one that you illusion, the one that you didn't block with an illusion?
That's like because the I guess specifically, so like basically even as I'm like approaching the branch, the darkness spell is covering that area.
Yes, it was placed almost exactly at the center. So you are most likely right. It is to hide which branch he was about to take.
Mm-hmm. And I'm assuming that there is no. No sound cues that might sound like running or maybe breathing, heavy breathing since he's been running.
No, I rolled for his stealth, and it is above your passive perception.
Okay. In which case, he's going to take a gamble, and he's going to go down the hallway that he illusioned, because he might have been smart enough to see through it and could try to take advantage of that. And and he knows that the others will try to follow in the other direction.
Oh, good. We're splitting the party.
Separating the group.
Darkness.
Great.
All right, so rogue and cleric one way, druid and fighter the other.
Only Remy that way. We don't, unless you can see through illusions. I can't see
No.
through illusions.
Shit. Well,
You can't even see the illusion door. It's all in darkness.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm touching either side, so at one
We only
point,
see
like,
walls.
they both end up empty, right?
Yeah, to the touch, yes. It's not a major illusion, it's
But
a
how
minor
high
illusion.
is the
8 feet
how
high.
high is the chance that you will
Oh.
exactly touch that specific wall where the illusion is?
I'll roll
Well-
for it, I guess.
Well, he doesn't know. I know which one he covered, and I know how the embranchment is. So basically, it will be a question of you will feel the wall giving out on your right and on your left. Which one will
I'll
you
roll
take?
for it. Odds is left, evens is right. All right, I'm turning right before anything happens.
All right.
I didn't like that laugh. See you later, guys.
All right. So
We are doomed.
Yep, the healer's gone.
well,
The
technically-
healer.
the
What do you mean the
Alright.
healer?
One of the
There's like
healers.
three
Remember,
healers in this
The
party.
Hold
healer,
on.
you know how many of us can heal?
All of my spells are to heal. Give me this, please. Fuck it, I'm making a necromancer next one. I'm not dealing with this.
I mean, just turn dark. Just become a
Yeah. Yeah, there we go.
I will
Okay,
say
let's
that
go.
as Raimi is like making his turn and probably eventually gets out of the darkness because it's not that big,
No,
he is going to be looking for blood spots.
All right. So, Remy, you get into the dark and you go toward the one that you just illusioned, which I just rolled, and following the advice of Aiden, went with even and odd, and it so happens that you had just illusioned the right hallway. So you go in, you are inside the darkness, you know approximately where it is, and you go running toward the right one, the one that you illusioned. So it's basically after 30 feet you exit this, and right now you do not see anything. You would still have your bonus action if you wanted to keep running, but right now you spent 30 feet of movement to get in, to be in and get out. And you are inside a long hallway that you do not see the elf in. You do not hear anything, anyone running. You do not perceive anything. You would still have, well, technically you still have your action and bonus action.
He is going to... That'll be the best course of action here. I will say that he is going to... He will make an active perception to see if he can uncover if like there's any movement.
All right, roll for perception.
I love you, Raimi, right now. 25.
All right. So you take the time to listen. You do not perceive anything. There is no sound coming from the corridor that you are currently perceiving. I was going to say investigate, but just not to mix the actual skills. So you're not perceiving anything in this corridor right now.
All right, with that, Raimi has decided, like, fuck, he went the other direction, possibly. And he's going to, unfortunately, make his way back into the darkness.
All right. This means you still have 15 feet of... Oh, no, actually, you make your way back in the darkness, which use 15 feet, which means you can use your last 15 feet to get out of the darkness on the other side of it, but you won't have any actions.
So, like, that'll be fine.
All right. So you go back to the other corridor, and you get out of it just... Your head just pierced through the darkness. You look in the corridor, and you don't see anything. But this is only your passive perception and not your active perception.
Did Raimi actually say, fuck, he went the other way?
Like, you know what? That's probably a phrase he's heard before.
Most likely.
Did I hear it?
With your passive perception and how close he is, I'd say 15. You hear something, but you can't make it out.
Damn it. Because I'm going to keep running down that hall.
Well, your hand just keeps... because this is a bit funny, because you hear that, and you... a turn is 6 seconds, so everything happens in that 6 seconds. So you most likely hear that, and then you feel feathers going right in front of you as you are entering this darkness. Oh shit! Which side did that with those feather go? Left or right? But you said you decided to go right. So, as your hand just slips in the dark, you turn right. As Remy just crosses you and go the other direction.
But it's good to know that Raimi can say, "Fuck, you went the other way." That's really useful.
So you go in the darkness, and do you use movement and action to move 60 feet?
Yeah,
or are you...
I'm
All right.
I'm dashing through that hall.
Then in that case, you exit the darkness, and you walk a good 20, 30 feet outside of the darkness, and you notice you're completely alone.
And I call out to Raimi.
Yeah, this is you can do that.
Raimi? Bird? You in here? It's like the echo of my empty house is perfect right now. It's like, hello?
Remy?
Bird?
Remy? Bird? 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 Hello? Oh. Oh. But he will answer on his turn if he hears it. All right, audience, Valtteri and Fisher, the three of you, get in the reach of this sphere of darkness. You arrive, audience and Fisher, you're very familiar with it. Valtteri, you saw it appear where the elf was. You get close to it, and there is this darkness in front of you. Are you entering it? You can only enter it. You've spent your movement. You're at the edge of this. You can stay there at the edge, or you can use your action to actually dash inside the darkness.
I'm gonna keep dashing. Audience doesn't stop.
All right. So you dash in, and well, actually, after 15 feet, you hit your head on a wall.
You're going straight, buddy. Path.
You feel there's a slight angle to the wall. And,
Okay.
oh, yeah, that's right. Fisher and Valtteri are running right behind you. So you basically run, you hit the wall, and then Valtteri hits you, and then Fisher hits Valtteri.
I
They're
wasn't saying that I
following
would dash behind him. I never said that.
Oof,
I'm
Because
gonna
I
roll.
wanted to.
Let's see.
that's an unfortunate
Also,
sandwich.
Valtteri was in front of audience, unless they switched
Yeah.
while they were running.
So did you stop, Valtteri?
So when
I wanted to ask if I can hear any footsteps inside of running people.
your passive perception doesn't give you anything. You'd have to spend an action for a perception roll.
Even if I'm dashing in chain.
Well, she just
Wouldn't
asked
I
me
hear
if
the clanking noise?
she just asked
Like,
me.
no, not of the elf. Like, would
I
I,
know.
hear any noise
I
from
know.
someone running?
All right, so you want to know if you can hear someone running, because what you just asked me was,
Yes.
do I hear anything in the dark?
No, no. I said, do I hear
Alright.
someone running? That's what I
Me
meant.
and Fish are running right behind you. So we're taking big-
No, in front of me. I know that would be behind.
You might be
me.
drowning out the sounds a little bit.
All right, so, well, actually, yes, because you're all surrounded by noise. I'd go with a passive perception with disadvantage. Meaning that... All right, well, we're going to go with this. Anvara, what is your passive stealth? You have to... your passive... It's the same thing as any passive trait. So it's 8
passive stealth.
plus proficiency and if you have proficiency in stealth, I mean, it's so it would be your dexterity plus Not proficiency because you don't have it, but with your dexterity modifier. So 8
So
plus 8 plus dexterity modifier. 12.
8 plus 12.
12 because you're
I'm a heavy
running,
girl.
because you have chainmail. I'm gonna impose the equivalent of disadvantage on this, which means that yes, Valtteri, your passive perception does pick the clinging and clanging of armor in front of you and behind you.
Then I would try to go to the clingy clangy sound in front of me while running.
All right. So you enter the darkness and... All right. Well, the way I made this, you can roughly think that they went to the right, and you slowly veer off. Meaning that you enter the darkness, you come out of it, and you could use an entire action to run. How long is your dark vision? 60 feet?
Yes.
So when you exit the darkness, you'd be able to see Anvara within your range of vision.
Did you get him?
I'll answer on my turn.
Exactly. So this means we go back to Audience and Fisher. Audience, you did say that you were running and you run until you hit a wall, which means Fisher would run into you after that. You said you were going to roll for something. I don't know what it was.
I was gonna roll for which way I turned when I felt the slope, when I hit the wall.
All right.
Which way does your body roll?
And I rolled a 3, and 3 were odds, which was left for me. So apparently I rolled to the left. So I'm going left.
So you're going left. All right. You have just enough movement. No, actually, by the time that you reach out, the round would start again. So you're going left. All right, I have to turn it around. You're going left. Fisher. This means that you don't see anything and you run right into a wall. What do you do when you hit that wall?
I mean, I would have just been assuming everyone was following the person in front of them, so I would have tried to follow audience.
Fuck.
Well, this is going to be hard because you're listening with your incredibly normal passive perception, and you can hear clinging and clanging from the right, and you can hear clinging and clanging from the left.
Probably louder from the
I
left.
thought I ran into audience's butt.
Well, he said that just after hitting the wall, he turned. So basically, he smashed his head on the wall. You heard "Pling!" And when you arrive, you also smash into the wall. So you can deduce that he hit the wall, but then he turned somewhere. You do hear clinging and clanging louder from your left than on your right.
More group separation.
Both sides. Oh.
From one side, you hear clinging and clanging that feels a bit distant. And from the other side, you hear clinging and clanging, which feels very close.
I am going to... I'm going to stop at the intersection and shout out, Raimi, where is he?
All right. In that case...
Taking the non-committal option.
His processor had some problems for a second. Even
There was a bit of lag because of the cognitive...
The dust.
All right, so Remy, you are just out of the darkness. You look around, and then you hear people shouting for you. I think you heard Anvara ask if you had it, and then you hear Fisher ask where you are. And you see nothing in the corridor.
All right, he is going to take a bonus action dash further into the corridor and try to make a perception for any signs that the elf might have gone through there.
Roll for perception.
Like, come on, Raimi, don't disappoint me now. Oh, thank Christ. Well, not Christ, but 19.
Thank Gygax.
If you want, I'll come up with the name of gods you would most likely thank. All right, so...
There's a god of magic, there's a god of thievery, there's a god of...
Oh, there are a lot of gods. There are always a lot of gods. All right, so 19. You take your cunning dash and you look around, perceive, look on the ground, and you feel very dismayed because you, again, cannot pick up anything.
It's a sneaky bastard.
Fucking Dro.
He rolled really high on his stealth. Really high.
He's above us. He's just on the wall.
It's fucking...
Like a xenomorph just crawling.
I'm going to say... You know what? Raimi is going to continue down this hallway. But he is going to kind of like basically give like a loud caw noise.
Something violently bird.
And for the first time, you hear the Kenku caw.
He is going to take his chances going down this hallway.
All right. Well, in that case, Anvara, you are the first one to do something out of all these people. You hear the caw coming from far away. You see Valtteri, who just emerged from the darkness. Really just emerged from it.
All right.
You don't see anything else than her.
And I attempt a strength roll to like just drag her with me to the other hall.
Well, it depends on
That's
if
a strong roll.
Valtteri, would you let someone drag you along? Anvara.
Like,
I would hear the caca sound behind me, right?
Yeah.
I guess.
I'm just gonna yell as I grab her, "We're going back."
Sure.
All right,
I'm
then.
saving you in action.
I would be too confused to like fight against it.
Great. So do I just roll strength?
Oh, if she lets herself be
Okay.
pushed away, you don't need to. However, you are farther away, so you don't have enough movement to get out of the dark, but she has.
Okay. I'll just like drop her as far as I can and tell her to follow the others.
Just throw me.
I mean, I've tried to throw the Kenku also. It's a character trait at this point. Toss allies when possible.
Oddly enough, this is an ability that you do see in games. So,
I might get grappler. Maybe.
Nope. Don't do it. It's so bad.
Alright, I'll get tavern brawl. Is that okay?
There you go.
proficiency in improvised weapon. So basically, you're going to have proficiency throwing Remy.
I can wield Raimi.
This is going to be interesting.
Maybe just holds out his short sword in front of him as he's being wielded.
just sharpen your beak with it.
Hey, look, I got a spear to take Remy. All right, so Anvara, you go back into the dark. You push Valtteri to keep
Just grab her
on.
by the collar and pull.
Take her by the horns. Come on, get over here.
No, I feel that'd be disrespectful.
All right. In any case, you shove her deeper inside the dark. Valtteri, you get shoved back into the dark and into Fisher, who is still there. This is interesting. You had no Fisher wasn't moving, so his armor wasn't making any noise. You have no way of knowing he's there, so basically you get shoved back into the darkness, and Fisher, you get Valtteri shoved onto you. So I'd say, Fisher, make a dexterity save.
What is happening?
I mean, Valtteri can't be that.
A dex or a strength?
No, but, well, I was thinking dexterity because I was giving you the opportunity to dodge. But if you want to
dodge
use,
out of the way
Yeah.
versus
but you could try and use strength
To just be a wall.
to just be a wall, which means Valtteri might end up prone. But then again, you don't know that it's Valtteri who has just been shoved into you.
yeah, I guess I'd stand.
All right, then make a strength save.
14. I haven't rolled above 10 tonight.
All
You're
right.
welcome, everybody else.
Let us see. What would be? Oh goodness. Anvara. Okay. So.
I'm scared.
I'm just looking at all of your stats. All right, so Anvara is still sufficiently strong. So she shoves you toward the dark. You get shoved into Fisher, who managed to stand up. Oh, goodness. I'd say for Valtteri, it's really become a dexterity save because Fisher has more than sufficient strength to resist your puny weight, and Anvara has sufficient strength to push you off balance. So you're a
I
projectile
didn't
right
think I
now.
threw her. I thought I was just like dragging
I'm
her and letting
getting-
her go.
I used the shove
getting-
action basically as a reference. You pushed her away. Or
I'm
threw her
getting
away.
squished like a
It's the same.
pancake. I thought he grabbed me and dragged me with him.
In any case, it's the same thing as the shove action. The shove action can be used in many different ways. If you're a martial artist, you could use the shove action to roleplay a throw.
How about an 8?
How about an 8? In that case, you get shoved into Fisher, and you don't know why. It feels like you hit a wall, but it clinged and clanged, and now you're standing on the ground in front of a wall that is clinging and clanging. And Fisher, of course, you felt that. It was strong enough to make you take one step forward, but not enough to push you down. And you know that something just bumped into you. You're not sure what it is, but you know that it's not attacking you.
Fair enough.
So what do you
Just a
do?
really confused tiefling.
I feel awkward.
Am I going next?
Well, technically, you and audience are going at the same time in this chase, but because
Okay.
something happened to you, I'm gonna go with you first, and then audience.
I would go, excuse you, and then head off towards where I heard the bird squawk come from.
All right, so you just
like it's the
leave
first
whatever
time
was
it's
you just leave whatever was shoved into you on the ground, and you start moving away. toward the bird call. Valtteri, you just hear, excuse you, cling, 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 cling. So, audience, you hear a lot of noise coming from behind you, clinging and clanging, and ouch, cling. And you see Remy running away, cawing.
Okay. Now I'm going to cast Divine Sense.
All right.
Which is a range of 60 feet? Yeah, 60 feet.
You just know if it inside the 60 feet there's something. You don't know exactly where it is inside the
No,
circle.
I don't. I just know.
Okay.
Inside.
So this means that...
I can know the location of any celestial fiend undead, but drow are not celestial fiends or undead.
No. So... 30. No, you do not feel anything from your divine sense.
Alright. In that case, I will just charge down the left corridor.
Alright.
Because I have nothing else to go on.
Then, in that case, Remy, there is a dream of yours coming true. You see audience running toward you.
With all wide open. Just waiting for him.
It's like in slow motion.
Dun, 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 dun. And you hear at the same time, cling, schlong, cling, cling, schlong, cling.
Well, we do at least know the elf didn't stay there and like hide from us in the corridor. We know he at least went away.
I would say that there's like literally too much body action for him to even like get around, since he can't see in it either. Since not even Shari elves can see through their own darkness spell.
Unless he's a warlock.
Da, da, da.
Ooh.
All right.
It would be an interesting twist, but anyway. So with that, Raimi is going to smack his face because he needs to focus, and he is going to continue down the corridor, like using dash and full movement to see if he can still catch up to them if they happen to very well have gone down this corridor.
You can still chuck the rock.
Raimi isn't strong enough for that. Don't even ask him to do it.
It's actually dexterity.
All right, so you keep on moving through this corridor, and the further you go, I'd say you can use your action, your movement, and your cunning action, but do you use your action to keep on running or to make another perception roll? Because basically, if you use your movement and your cunning action dash, you're
that's 90,
60
and then
feet
it's
away.
120 if I double dash.
So, what do you do?
Since he knows that he definitely lost movement, like when he went down the other corridor, he is going to double dash for the extra 30 feet.
All right. So you keep on going, and your passive perception is only picking up the clinging and clanging of audience running toward you. You are starting to feel like you have lost your prey. Anvara, you do not know what happened. You shoved Valtteri inside the darkness, and how do you keep on running in toward the darkness, or do you do something else?
Did I hear Valtteri fall on the ground?
You heard clinging and clanging. You heard Fisher say, "Excuse you," and then clinging and clanging again.
All right. I'm going to go through the darkness and try to follow that tunnel that everyone went down.
All
Well,
right.
actually, I'm going to... Actually, like, I was going through like this to go through. Did I see that there was only like one way out before the spell went up, or
No, you were too far away. But you know that there was a Y-shaped intersection close by. You passed it maybe less than a
All right.
minute ago. So
well, if I went left, I'll hold my right arm against the wall and just drag along it so I can follow the shape of the wall.
okay. Make a dexterity check. Because
Would
you're
you
gonna walk
follow
into
me?
no, Anvara, because you're basically still on the ground, so there's a chance that he's gonna trip over you.
Yeah, that's what I
Uh,
meant.
Yeah, I'm about to eat shit. I
Clusterfuck.
rolled a 7.
With a
Total.
what?
With a
It's
7.
clusterfuck.
All right, so yeah, with a 7, you'd actually trip over Valtteri and lose half of your movement because you have to get up once that happens. So
Okay.
I'm surprised you haven't said already that I'm losing health at this point.
It's bumping into everybody.
well, you weren't shoved ram style inside the darkness. You were just shoved in there. So your whole body took the impact. If I take away hit points for that, it would only be maybe 1 hit point.
All right. I'll get up. I assume, like, I heard Valtteri go, like, what the fuck,
Ow!
as I over.
Yeah, Valtteri, Anvara trips over you, literally.
I would scream in pain.
Oh, shit.
Because I don't have any armor or anything, but someone in armor is just falling over me.
Oh, shit.
That's a good
Right.
point.
Can I just feel through the darkness and try to help her up?
Yeah, sure.
All right.
And just accidentally slap
Do I
me
need
or
to roll
something.
for that?
Well, no, since you tripped over her, your feet are still touching
Okay.
her, so it's easy to just turn around and pick her up, and both of you get up.
All right. If I have any movement left, I guess I'll keep going.
All right, Valtteri, do you follow that person that you're mostly sure who it is, but you have no visual confirmation it is actually Anvara? It is an elven figure that just picked you up, which clings and clangs, so most likely.
I guess I'm just so confused at the moment. I can't do anything. Like, I can't fight against anything
All
at
right.
this point.
So you get up and you start heading toward the other end of the darkness. And Fisher, you get out of the darkness. You see audience running inside this long corridor. You see a light bobbing in the distance, running away. What do you do? And you hear behind
And
you
you hear
clinging and
Valtteri's.
clanging and hearing, fuck, what the happened? What happened? Just behind you. You recognize
And
Sanvara and
Valtteri's screaming.
Valtteri.
I will, follow audience.
All right. You easily follow him. Well, since you're both running at as fast as you can, you are keeping up with audience, but you're not overtaking him. Your passive perception does not perceive anything in the corridor as you are running. Audience, behind you, you see the rest of the party emerging from darkness. Some of them look confused. Some of them looks like they're running with purpose. In front of you, you see Remy trying to catch up with this invisible foe. And you are also slowly getting the impression that your foe managed to slip away.
I mean, I don't have a lot to do, so I'll just keep following Remy since we don't really know. I mean, we're just looking. There's no reason not to keep going that way.
Yeah, we haven't hit another intersection yet, right?
No, that was the intersection where the darkness was placed. The other one,
Yeah.
you'd say, is most likely something like 10 minutes away.
Yeah, so I'll just keep going that way because there's no
All right. So everyone keeps on going in the same direction. trying to catch up with something that actually never arrives. How long are you... Do you keep going down the hall?
That depends. Because I'm going to ask this again.
Yes.
When I injured him, was there any sign that that it was potentially leaving a blood trail?
I'd allow you to make a perception roll with advantage because you're looking for... Well, actually, sorry, you're looking for a blood trail. This would be investigation. You're actually looking for something physical on the ground.
Yeah, because that would have been... That's what he was trying to look for, in both corridors, but since he didn't see it in the first one... Although, I guess, investigation. But anyway. That will be a 16.
16. You look around, slow down, really take a moment to investigate around, and after a moment, you are fairly sure that there's no blood trail in this corridor.
Right. Raimi is going to slow down, think on things, and kind of turn to the others. It's just and basically put a giant X with minor illusion.
Minor illusion X. So you have to press the X button on your controller now. Alright. So, audience, you see this large X appearing above Remy's head.
Alright. I'll just say maybe we should head back then, and obviously the elves seem to be trying to go back the way we came, so maybe we should head back towards the camp, because maybe the elves are trying to escape, and that's their one way of escape. Since we saw it heading back away from us as we passed.
Really hope somebody else was paying attention to where we were going, because I sure as hell wasn't.
I mean, it was pretty much a straightforward dash, really, because that was the first intersection.
No, from the camp.
Oh.
You're mostly hunting, so you're trying to follow trails of recently disturbed rocks and maybe trail which would have been left by someone walking in this. So I'd say actually you think you're not on the right path to go back to the camp. You think it's the other way to go back to the camp.
Didn't you leave a trail of ballberry?
Well, just in case he lost, there was a diversion and had to mark where he was going so that you guys didn't get lost while trying to follow him.
That was.
But since
he
that
started
didn't
the ball
happen,
bearings after when we saw the Dashari, not when we left the camp.
No, but we would know from where we left.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So you could easily get back to where you were when the chase started, or you could go back to the camp, which now, by looking around, you realize is the other way.
Yeah. That's what I'm going to go do. I'm going to start heading back towards the camp.
Yeah, we're just
I feel
chasing.
stomped upon on.
Sorry?
I feel stomped upon on.
It's, you really have to stand up. You're just letting people walk all over you.
That's what you get when your strength doesn't have a positive motto.
So Raimi is going to think for a moment, and then he's going to say, "Someone bring out the bloodhounds."
How do you all react to this?
I'm wondering if someone has a dog I haven't heard of.
In my mind, I'm like, does he know that I can transform myself?
I guess actually, yeah, that's what probably audience would do. Audience would like look towards Valtteri and be like, "Is he talking to you?"
I don't know.
I mean,
Maybe you should turn into a wolf, though.
And this is probably the oddest conversation that you've heard so far, Anvara and Remy. Audience turning toward Valtteri and saying maybe he's talking about you.
The problem is I'm too large for the tunnels. Well, I could fit, but it would not be comfortable.
You can't think of things like comfort when we're hunting dangerous creatures.
I guess. Let me quickly look which one would be the best form.
Remy, did you get him with something?
He minor illusions a dagger in the back of the elf.
Look for blood.
I guess I would take the wait, which one? That is the blind side. That is the dark vision. The full moon version.
Alright. Full moons, which means... Alright. So, the wolf that you summon is a large creature. So it's basically the same thing as trying to fit a horse in a corridor that is 5 feet wide. It is very tight. There are probably a few moments where you leave a few
Hello.
a few
Going off
patches of fur behind. And actually, this is a bit funny
Sorry.
because you actually know what the size of a horse is in person. So like I said, you're basically trying to fit a creature the size of a horse in a 1.5 meter wide corridor. It is
Well-
that tight.
Horses aren't 1.5 meter wide. Because that would be really fat horses.
that'd be fucking scary.
Well, you're looking at a wolf. They have broader shoulder than horse.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, the size of how tall you are and probably how wide your behind is, but your shoulder are a bit wider because you're a wolf. So like I said, you'd probably leave a few patches of fur on the walls at one point or another as you're scraping on the walls. And there's definitely no place for anyone else to go around you. Anvara and Remy.
Maybe under my legs.
Yeah, Remy is confused by this.
That's what I'm going to say.
That's not what he was communicating, but...
Remy, this and Anvara, this is the first time you actually see this. Valtteri takes point and turn into a horse-size silver-furred
White.
wolf.
Holy shit. I can't imagine I've had many experiences with the druids.
Actually, the only experience...
Yeah, you have.
Actually,
Have
the
I?
only experience
right.
that you
I
have
just-
that would remind you of this, with the exception of the color, is the ambush that you all survived just before entering this.
I completely forgot. Oh my god.
You got attacked by
These
3 of
creatures
these,
mauling
but
you.
black.
Yeah.
That's right, I almost died.
So it is the approximately exactly the same thing, except she is silver colored, or white, or maybe dull silver, something like that.
Silver
Okay.
white. Yeah.
I'll see if I make the distinction. Not one. Okay.
To be fair, did we ever see the wolves?
Fisher, you saw the black version of it. You saw Valtteri change while you were all
No,
in...
but during the ambush because we were in a fog cloud that entire time.
Well, I believe we saw them transform back.
It is a fog. It's not darkness, so you'd see when something is half a feet in front of you trying to bite your head off. So you'd have a feeling that it was a wolf attacking you.
Yeah, but something like, silver versus black.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Fisher, you actually saw Valtteri do this before. When you were going to the meeting place of the garden, she transformed quite a few times while protecting the cart. So you actually saw her do this before. But it's the first time you saw her do the silver one.
Mm.
Remy has hidden himself behind audience.
What? No.
And Anvara, you look at this and a part of you just freaks out.
Like, have I been walking around with a fucking cultist this whole time? Are you shitting me right now?
PTSD.
Yeah, severe, because these assholes almost killed me.
They almost
Is
killed
she
you.
saying that?
They
Is she
almost
saying
killed you
that?
with necrotic energy, the opposite of everything you represent.
Yeah. I'm not a... Like, Aiden knows it's a druid, and Vara's like, that's a fucking big wolf.
It is not a common type of druid. So I'm leaving it up to
Circle
you.
the Moon is...
What do you say when you see this?
Yeah! I'm just... Like, how fast is the transformation? Is it an instant thing?
Right now, because you don't have the level, I think it's an action, but it's going to be a bonus action soon. Is that it?
Wait.
So I just, like...
6 seconds.
So within 6 seconds, I saw Valtteri fall on all fours and just morph into a wolf. All right,
Most likely
great.
a bit less, maybe 4 seconds.
It's pretty instant.
Like, shield is already in one hand. Sword is halfway out the scabbard when I'm just like, hang on.
When you hit the wall, just on your side.
Yes, I'll
Again,
fight with the scabbard.
Remy's just hiding now because this is not what he meant at all. He was not expecting this.
Audience and Fisher, how do you react when you see half of the party panic in front of this transformation?
Audience is gonna give Advara a very solid pat on the shoulder and be like, knees looking a little shaky there. Don't worry, she won't bite. And kind of gives him a grin and then walks past him.
All right. Where's command?
It's command.
Well, I do bite, but I can talk.
Why? Since she won't bite. Like, she won't bite.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't know why. I just hear the war gen of World of Warcraft. I don't bite much, often, most of the time. Actually, you better stay back.
I'm just gonna let gravity pull the sword back down into the scabbard.
And Remy?
Like, I gave audience 2 D20s to see Remy's reaction, but because it's specifically coming from audience, he suddenly feels a lot calmer about this.
Yeah, I agree. Because it's audience, and you have a really severe crush on him, I'd say it's justified to have advantage on this.
I mean,
So maybe still kind of looks at the wolf kind of strangely, but also looks at that grin on audience and just okay.
Well, audience is grinning because Advara is uncomfortable. And that makes them happy.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's not how he's interpreting
Remy
it. So.
would actually be, if it wouldn't be in a cave, Remy, I think, would actually be the only one from the weight I could carry as a wolf. So you could ride on my back.
All right. So, well, the session is done, so
I
we could
guess-
end on this very interesting note of everyone being reassured by audience that this is normal. She's always been
Fine,
able to
Stark.
do that.
And I'm gonna spend a lot of time destroying the water and water skins, my guy.
All right.
Funny, huh? No more water.
All right, and so we end this session as everyone is now finally aware of Valtari's capability. And for those who might have missed the beginning of this because it's been so long, Valtari is a druid, a form of druid, which I actually built. It is a twin moon druid. It is a very similar to the full moon circle, but she is locked into two shapes of wolves. And as you could have guessed, representing the full moon and the new moon. One being silver, the other one being black.
Yeah. Good call being silver on that
And
one.
and having different abilities.
Exactly.
Well, two distinct different abilities.
Yes. So, as the tension slightly lower, as audience reassure everyone, the camera fades away and you see at the bottom of the screen to be continued.
Do 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 do.
All right, everyone. So I hope you enjoyed the show. Next time, it looks like we are going to continue investigating these caverns, trying to either find the lair of the dark elves or going back to the camp and trying to figure out where the dark elf might have gone. So, until then, stay safe, and especially in those times, stay healthy, and we'll all see you again next Wednesday. Bye.
But
Yeah.
Bye.
Uh,